All right, welcome, guys. This is Breakfast with the Brand, the number one podcast in the world for entrepreneurs and leaders who want to go from bland to industry leading brand. If you tuned in live, go ahead and put your flames in the chat. Let us know where you're listening in from. I have with me today, actually, not the king of branding himself, but I have with me today another phenomenal guest who is no stranger to this podcast. All right, so you guys all know him, you all love him. His name is Mr. Bobby Jackson, and I'm gonna bring him out. What's up, Bobby? Phenomenal day. How you doing?
Good morning. Good morning. Phenomenal day. I'm doing phenomenal. I'm doing phenomenal. That's three phenomenals in like less than 3 minutes. That means it's gonna be a great session. It's gonna be a great session.
Oh yeah, brother. You already know. Anytime we connect, it's always a phenomenal time. Anytime we connect. So guys, you already know. Like, get your pens, get your papers ready. Bobby, we're gonna go down the rabbit hole a little bit when it comes to branding.
Yeah,
And one thing I love about you, Bobby, is your perspective as far as it relates to economics. You know, you having that economic background. Like, let me tell you something. Funny enough, economics was actually my favorite subject, one of my favorite subjects at school.
really.
Yes, sir. I did the business stream, so I did accounts, economics, I did business
Hmm.
at school, and that's actually one of my favorite streams. So I'm very fascinated by it. You know, when we look at the market tells us so much about ourselves as human beings. Guys, if you don't know anything about the market, I'm just gonna put it like this: greed, fear. And I know Bobby knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It is literally like a thermometer. Literally like a thermometer
Mhm.
for greed, fear, and a whole bunch of other things. But Bobby, how you doing, brother? Let's talk about you. How's everything going with you?
Things are going great. We're ending the quarter strong. We're thinking about different things that we're going to be doing as the brand develops and all of the different things that we've learned from Branded Like a Leader and from the different courses that we've taken throughout the year. So I would say this month is one of the months where it feels like a culminating event. It feels like a culminating event. We've been building, building, building. And as we close out quarter one, like a lot of entrepreneurs out there right now, I'm sure you guys are thinking, all right, let's go into quarter two. Let's crush it. All of those enthusiastic moments. So we're having that exact same experience here in our organization. But as far as economics and brand development is concerned, it's a very interesting time to be in business and especially to have a brand because personal branding seems to be one of the biggest equity points for businesses today. And what I mean by that is when you're getting in business and you're starting out early, one of the biggest things you don't want to do is discount. However, that's one of the first things a lot of businesses do is they discount their services. But revenue and cash flow is the biggest thing you need. Cash flow more so than revenue. And brand equity and brand development is one of those stabilizing factors for young businesses. And it's something that my team is taking very seriously. So that's an excellent question. A lot of things going on.
Oh yeah. Guys, now I'm very well I stay in touch with the news, Bobby. So I see everything that's going on. I see banks crashing, I see this happening, I see that happening. And what I notice is that it's becoming more and more of a situation where it's like you need a brand to survive. It's not even like, so people always like, well, do I need a personal brand? Do I need to build a brand? Do I need to build a business? Well, bro, listen, if you don't do something, you have to do something. But relying on a single paycheck, that's not it. That's not it. Now we can get into all kinds of things, Bobby. I don't want to make it too economic
Hmm.
because I don't know, we may lose a few people. We could talk about liquidity. We could talk about all that and what's happening in the market. But let's keep it to branding. What I've noticed is that more and more, just like I was saying, it's coming to a situation where everybody's waking up to the fact or to the realization, I should say, that building a personal brand is no longer optional.
Right.
It's a must. And it's a must because you exist. You exist on the internet. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that Everyone is going to be an entrepreneur sooner or later. I think that that is really the way that we're moving. And when you think about your profiles, I feel like everybody's profile is a storefront. So when you're walking past, in the mall, I don't know if you remember walking around malls, but here in America, we have these stores inside of stores.
Right.
And when you walk past the store, you can see the mannequins, you can see what's on display, you can go in, and as you go into each mall, there's a feng shui, if you will. There's a certain aroma to the place, and it kind of lets you know what to expect. So as you are a business owner and you're developing your business, I would like you to think about your profile page, as Junior was just talking about the way you exist, your digital footprint. Think about what is your feng shui to your personal page, to your brand. Because when people are on your page today, if you're doing business, if you're an entrepreneur, they're walking into your store, ladies and gentlemen. And what I'm seeing on social media more and more is individuals have rundown stores, but sky high prices. And that just doesn't make sense. Rundown stores, but sky high prices. What do you say
Bobby,
about
say that again, man. Let me tell you something. That's a tough one, guys. Put it in the chat, and I want to send a quick shout out to Shade, shout out to everybody else on LinkedIn. If you're viewing this on LinkedIn, shout out to you, Shade. Shout out to you, YouTube, Facebook. What's up? Yeah, Bobby. So you said, let me get this right. You said a rundown store with high prices,
sky high prices?
sky high prices.
Yes.
Yeah, man. I think we have a combination of the two. From my observation, we have some people who know, like, for example, they know that they should be charging high prices, but they haven't been able to effectively communicate that in the market, which is why you have the appearance of a rundown store.
Mm.
Then you have people that look really nice, and when you talk to them, you say, how much you charge? They say, I charge $60 an hour or something like that. So I think we have a combination of the two, and it's so interesting because I speak to both sets of people on a weekly basis. So I talk with people that need to raise their prices. Then I talk to people that need to raise their branding, need to raise their brand positioning, whether they know it or not. Okay. So my opinion on that is a combination of the two. And actually, I wrote down, yes, actually, I wrote down a few questions that I commonly get, Bobby. I guess we could take a couple of them, and I'd like to get your opinion on it as well. So, one of the questions I typically get is, how much do I charge? How much should I charge?
Mhm.
Now, I have a marketing background, so I have a little different perspective on it. So, somebody might just say, well, raise your prices, right? Raise your prices. Okay. Which is, there's nothing wrong with that. But when you look at, okay, how much do I actually charge for a service? My short answer is this: whatever it's costing you to acquire a client, you need to be able to effectively collect that money 3 times over in a 30-day period. Meaning, if it's costing you $500 to acquire a client, you need to be able to charge at least 1.5. Otherwise, you don't have a viable business. If it's costing you $100, you need to be able to charge at least $300, or you don't have a viable business. So that's the simple math. Now, of course, if you could get your cost of acquisition down to $50 and then be able to charge $1,000, then more power to you. But it needs to be a minimum of at least 3 times whatever you're spending in time and also in money to acquire that client. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that that's very insightful for a lot of business owners that are in the middle stages and early stages of their business, because we don't think about it enough. I think we separate branding and we separate the business development and revenue. Like, we separate all of these different things, but really they work together. Like, they really work together. And I'd like you to think about baking a cake, right? You can put the sugar in, you've got the baking soda, you got the flour, you've got the milk, the eggs, like all of these things. Sure, you can purchase them separately, but you cannot have a cake. You can't bake a cake with them separately. And I think that that's something that you just hit on that's instrumental, because with a marketing background, I have an economics background, but we're definitely talking the same language when we say that. When he says, hey, you want to make sure you can get 3 times the money of the cost of acquisition, which is the terminology that we would use, cost of acquisition. And then we would say, okay, what is the market surplus? But we don't have to go into that for you to understand the simple fact of this. If you're not thinking deeply as a CEO about what you're doing and how you're positioning yourself and how you're pricing your business, you're probably not thinking about this deep enough. And I think that that's what separates, the $1 billion brand from other brands in the market, is the fact that these brands that are built here, that are honed in this incubator and ecosystem, if you will, have a perspective on the market, have an understanding of branding and positioning, and have an overall education on how money is generated with the brand and how that money is turned into a profit. All of those things, I believe, are differentiators and separators for effective businesses in any industry.
That's right. Guys, we're about to go to our first break, but when we come back, more on branding. Listen, if you have any questions, now is the time to write down those questions. When we come back, we're going to go deeper into the actual numbers. Like, what do you actually need? How do you sell? How do you start? How do you find your clients? Where do you find your clients? How do you actually start building a business? Listen, stay tuned. You don't want to miss it. This is Breakfast with the Brand. We'll be back very soon.
I'm just a kid from Harlem who God chose to show his favor. Themselves while improving the lives of others. It's very important that you know yourself to the highest degree possible, because it's through knowing ourselves that we're able to know other people. You are the most important person in the room, and the better that you know yourself, the better that you're able to communicate to others. So you're not only playing the game knowing who you are, but you're also playing the game knowing who everyone else is, so that you're not playing blind.
He's extremely engaging with people. He has a fantastic smile, and he's just very high energy person.
This is called leadership development. So we have to be independently knowledgeable and considerate to know who we are, so we can more effectively know who other people are. As the leader, it's your responsibility to allocate resources in the right places. If you don't know how to communicate effectively, you're losing the battle. I said Shaan Rais. I'm proud. I said Shaan Rais. Leadership is not the brand they made for us.
Listen, he brought fire, heat. He didn't hold back.
20 years down the line, what I could sell, why not serve first? Service over salary. Branding like a leader closes the gap for people who want branding. Speaking like a leader closes the gap for people who are nervous about speaking. If Steve Jobs would have speculated, we wouldn't have Apple.
He changed lives. He helped people open up their business and start their business.
We are the brand. Some people say, Shaan, should I quit my job? Mentally, yes.
As a speaker too, to be able to learn from him and watch him and game respects game. And I want to have that much game someday.
The right client, pay $500,000 for what you do. You have to be bold in your beliefs.
He has been an amazing asset to this event and a pleasure to work with. Very captivating, collaborative, worked very well with the audience.
I want to help you. Put a 0 behind your number, right?
The session was great. How he is online, virtually, he is even more phenomenal in person.
Be the face of change that you want to see. Stop asking questions and start giving demands.
The entire team has just been absolutely incredible. They are a joy to work with. They go above and beyond.
Give yourself a round of applause. Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, 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 guys, we're back. Listen, this is Breakfast with the Brand. If you are now coming in, go ahead and put your flames in the chat. Let us know where you're listening in from. So, Bobby, before we went to the break, we spoke a little bit about the numbers, right?
Yep.
And I want to address a question that somebody asked me just yesterday, right? So somebody said to me, "Hey, Junior," and I'm paraphrasing this, right? They're new to business. They're working at a dead end job. They don't have that much money for marketing, and they're asking me, "Is there anything that they can do?" Okay, so just to paint the situation, I know many people are in this situation right now. The situation is basically, Bobby, they want to get into business. They don't have the necessary capital to invest 30K, 15K, 20K, 40K into their business right now. And they're asking me, is there anything that they can do? What I'm gonna say to that person, and you should write this down if that's you, is sales. Two things, in fact, branding and sales. Branding, number one, because like Bobby was saying, your profile, your website, your online presence is like your house online. Think of it like your house online, guys. So if you're inviting customers, if you're inviting clients, if you're inviting people to your home, then you want to, I mean, you don't have to have the biggest mansion in the world, right? But at least whatever you do have, you want to make it very clean, you want to make it very nice, you want to make it very professional. That's number one. Because that credibility piece, Bobby, that's a big piece. People need to know that you're a real person doing real business with real clients that can get them real results. Because guys, this is the internet. anything can anything can happen on the internet.
Yeah.
Anything can happen on the internet. And number two, you need to know how to sell. If you know how to sell, then you don't need money for marketing. And if Shaan was here right now, Shaan would say, if you're good at marketing, then sales is easy. If you're bad at marketing, sales is hard. But the inverse is equally true. If you're phenomenal at sales, your marketing will be easy because your sales is going to give you the revenue that you need to begin to invest in the marketing. What are your thoughts on that, Bobby?
Man, I love this question because we all think about the cart before the horse and the chicken before the egg. Which should you do first? Which comes first? And I like to distill sales and marketing under the same pillar, because when we think about money coming into your business, the only activity that creates or generates revenue is sales. Everything else is an expense. And when I think about this from an economic standpoint, I'm thinking, how much marketing capacity do you need to have in the form of financing in order to generate enough revenue to cover not only the cost of marketing, but also basic expenses for the business, and as well as creating some cushion to create a profit? So I think if you had to think about which to do first, I would say figure out how to do both of them at the same time. Figure out how to do both of them at the same time. And if you can sell and market at the same time, you become like a Michael Jordan. That's what I think about this. Michael Jordan, when he was on the court, he was selling the basketball shoe, the brand itself. He wore the shoes. He dunked in the shoes. He shot threes in the shoes. He won games wearing the shoes. Now, selling the shoes was done was done by Nike. But the wearing of the shoes and the actual equity of the brand was built on the court. So I think that when you can find unique ways like that to get busy in your industry, to make a lot of noise in your industry, and to sell while you make noise, that's one of the most inexpensive ways to build a brand when you don't have a lot of money to do so, but you are a boss in your industry. You know, you're good business, but you're a bad man, you're a bad woman when it comes to what you do, right?
Oh man, Bobby, I love that. I love what you just said, and the reason I love that is because you used the word there, which is noise.
Mhm.
Noise. I want everybody to write this down. Write down the word noise. Sean often says, "Money follows movement." Money follows movement. In other words, money follows noise. What kind of noise are you making? And I want to go one step further, right? And I want to say, maybe not noise, but there's a point where the noise becomes music. So it's noise to your unideal client, but it becomes a sweet symphony to your ideal client.
Mhm.
So, what is your music? Are you putting yourself out there? And this goes back to what I was talking about, which is the brand. Are you correctly branding yourself and putting yourself out there with the sweet messaging that turns into music? And what's so interesting about that, Bobby, is people always try to sell the thing. So let's talk about Jordan for a little while. So why is the Jordan brand so prolific? Now you said something. You said that the equity itself was built by the work that Jordan put in on the court. This is an excellent example of branding. So are we really buying the shoe? And what I tell people is this. Let's say you have two pairs of shoes. One is the authentic shoe, the authentic Jordan shoe. The other one is a knockoff shoe. They look the exact same way. They were made in the same factory, same country. They have the same symbols, right? Same everything, same price. But you knew that one was the authentic shoe, one was the knockoff shoe. Which one would you take? Or would it matter to you which one you choose?
Authentic all day.
So the question becomes why? And the reason why is because it's not about the thing. Like I tell you all the time, it's not about the shoe. It's about the thing that sells the thing. It's about what the shoe represents.
Mhm.
It represents the characteristic, the feeling, the emotion, the work, the moment. It captures the moment or the moments that he put in on the court. And it symbolizes a dynasty. Because of what it symbolizes, Bobby.
Yeah.
And that symbology gives off a feeling. And the feeling is what we call the brand.
Wow. Wow. That's awesome because it begs the question to everyone watching, what does your business or brand symbolize? I think that's
Mhm.
a question now that everyone has the answer. It's like, okay, I've been in business for a year. I've been in business for 5 years. I've been in business for 8 years. Okay, if you've been in business for 8 years, can you confidently and clearly articulate what your brand symbolizes? And if you can't, then that means it's noise to you. So it must be noise to the marketplace. And we want a symphony, as Junior put it, of violins and an orchestrated melody playing music to the ears of our ideal clients. And I think that's something that is, oh man, there's this analogy that I've used before. I think that you all can appreciate it here. So imagine seeing a Picasso from a distance. So me, I was an artist. I drew a lot. And if you're trying to paint, say, a Picasso from the distance, you can maybe get the contours right. You might even be able to get the coloring decent. And someone from a distance can say that's a Picasso painting. But the
Mhm.
closer you get to the painting, the more detail you can get from the painting, the more you can figure out what hue he's actually using, the more you can see what line that actually is. And I think that's what we experience a lot in today's marketplace is we experience brands that were built from a far off distance, meaning they know an idea of what a brand should be. They've got an idea of what it should look like, and they've kind of slapped it together best they can. They have a Frankenstein brand, if you will. And then you have individuals that are in organizations like this one that are a part of the billion-dollar brand and are part of organizations that truly understand branding. And you can see that they're up close on it. And that closeness allows them to have things such as message to market fit, have things such as product to market fit, have things such as iteration and feedback loops, have surveys and focus groups. You have to be close to branding in order to understand how to implement those things effectively. And too often we're too far away trying to build something that's supposed to bring people closer and closer to us.
That's right. That's right, Bobby. I love what you just said. So, and this brings me to another interesting subject, another interesting topic rather. Same subject, different topic. The difference between branding and marketing.
Mhm.
The difference between branding and marketing. Guys, I want you to write this down. Like really, really write this down. I'm about to save you a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of stress, a lot of headache. It's a difference between branding and marketing. And I'm gonna say it like this to make it as simple as possible. A brand is what you represent. You have to know what you stand for. A brand is the communication, or branding is the communication of what you stand for in the market. With marketing, you're asking people to take a specific action that will eventually lead them to a sale. A brand is the promotion of what you stand for. A branding is the promotion of what you stand for. Notice I didn't mention anything about sales. Let me tell you something. If you're using whatever computer you're using, Apple, Windows, whatever brand you trust, whether it be Samsung, whether it be Apple, whether it be Sony, most of the time they didn't have to sell you. Nobody from Apple had to call me so I can buy a Mac. You see what I'm saying, Bobby?
Absolutely.
When you go like the real brands, like a Jordan, as far as I know, there's nobody from the Jordan store calling people asking them if they want to buy Jordans.
Mm.
I've never seen a Jordan ad. Like I've seen advertisements, but I've never seen a Jordan marketing campaign. That's two different things. An ad is different from a marketing campaign, from a direct response marketing campaign. An ad is simply promoting your business. A marketing campaign is promoting the business in a way that is trackable, measurable, that has a cost of customer acquisition that you could actually trace back and find where the customer came from.
Mhm.
So check this out. When you see an ad on television, let's say an ad for Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A doesn't know how many people came to their store as a result of that ad on television. How can you know? There's no way to know. If you're broadcasting all across America, somebody could be looking at the ad in Texas, take a trip to New York, and say, you know what? I think I want a Chick-fil-A. Did they come from New York? Did they come from Texas? Maybe somebody in New York told somebody from Texas who told somebody in California. You don't know, and they don't.
Mhm.
So big brands advertise, small brands should market. Big
Mhm.
brands advertise, smaller brands like you and I, we should market. And marketing accounts for every single dollar that is spent, which means you spend $1 in, you could expect to take $2 out. And you need to know that for sure. Putting out random stuff is not marketing, it's advertising. There's a difference. Now, back to what I originally was talking about on the branding piece. The fastest way to build your brand, listen to me, guys. Let me bring this a little closer. Listen to me, guys. The fastest way to build your brand on social media is to consistently put out content and not ask for anything in return. Don't say, click on the link in my bio. Don't say, click the link in the comments. Don't ask for anything. Educate, motivate, inspire. Tell them what you are about. Tell them stories from your journey. Walk them through your journey. Tell them about your journey. And I'm using the word journey, story, brand story. Tell them stories that let them know what you stand for and what you stand against. And what will happen is you will build an audience around your perspective. Your perspective, or the way that you see the world, is the foundation of your brand. It is the molecular level of your brand. Therefore, if you put out content consistently, videos, photos, even worded posts, right? That's right. Without a CTA, no CTA, no CTA. You have to be able to do a content mix, right? So once in a while, you can do a CTA, once a week or something like that. But the majority, 80 to 90% of what you put out should be just telling people about who you are, what you represent, what is your story, what do you stand against, what do you stand for, who do you stand for. And what will happen is you will build a community around your thoughts and around your ideas, and you would have achieved what Shaan and I called positioning. So guess what? If Travis is following my content and I keep adding value to Travis, I keep depositing money in that, what we call that social bank account. I keep acquiring social capital. When Travis needs branding, guess who's going to come to? It's going to come to me. So what we've effectively done is we've flipped the switch and turned the prospect into the salesperson. Let me say that again. Guys, we've effectively flipped the switch and turned the prospect into the salesperson. That means that the prospect is trying to close you. You're not trying to close them. They're messaging Bobby. Hey, Bobby, how can I work with you? What does your numbers look like? Bobby doesn't have to message them. They're going to reach out to him because he's positioned himself as a thought leader in that particular space. What are your thoughts on that, Bobby?
Man, I wish we didn't have to go to a break right now, because I'm going to put a pin in my thought, but I'm going to say this piece before we go to the break. The thing that I would say is corporate social responsibility. And I'm going to hit a pin right there. And when we come back, I'm going to lean into that, because I don't think enough people understand the third and fourth order effects of not having a brand and building a business in our socio-economic climate, as well as our conscientious climate, as well as the movement toward what is known as conscious capitalism.
Let's grow.
The reason why I did this and what I do is help leaders to become brands and brand themselves. You train people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. I teach authenticity marketing. If people can take advantage of you, they will in your personal or professional existence.
My biggest takeaways just from day one is you are the brand. I would recommend it to anybody that's really looking to build a personal brand.
Just the brand in general has changed my life. I've grown so much since I've been a part of this.
I see myself in what he does, and I believe in it just as much as I believe in myself.
You know, there's nothing that you cannot overcome in this world except that which you refuse to fight. When I say brand, when I say brand and authenticity and being the brand, you gotta know your story. You gotta know your story, you gotta own your story, and you gotta be the champion of your story. It's very important that we control our narrative. It's very important that we don't allow anyone else to control our narrative, because when they control our narrative, they control our freedom. They control our freedom and our future. I don't just want it for me, I want it for everybody. It can happen, and it can happen for you, especially when you get branded like a leader. It's very important that you know yourself to the highest degree possible, because it's through knowing ourselves that we're able to know other people. You are the most important person in the room, and the better that you know yourself, the better that you're able to communicate to others. So you're not only playing the game knowing who you are, but you're also playing the game knowing who everyone else is, so that you're not playing blind.
He's extremely engaging with people. He has a fantastic smile, and he's just very high energy person.
This is called leadership development. So we have to be independently knowledgeable and considerate to know who we are, so we can more effectively know who other people are. As the leader, it's your responsibility to allocate resources in the right places. If you don't know how to communicate effectively, you're losing the battle.
All right, guys, we're back. This is Breakfast with the Brand. Bobby, this has been a great conversation so far, man.
Yeah, it really has. And I'm really excited to lean into this because you took us deeper. And I think that a lot of people that are following us so far are ready for this next portion of the conversation, which is who wants to be in business for the long haul? That's the real question. Because again, from the economic background, from the disruptive and innovation background, there's something that we can lose sight of as entrepreneurs in the early stages of our business. And I just want to bring some things into perspective so that you really can see the benefit and power of a brand done right. So I'm going to take my time with this a little bit just to break this down, guys. But when we are entrepreneurs leaving the workforce, the only thing on our mind at the time is getting into the industry, getting into the market and getting revenue. That's the only thing that can be on your mind because you just left your job. So now you have to think about how are you going to put food on the table? How are you going to keep a roof over the heads of your family? How are you going to maintain your standard of living, right? What's all of this got to do with branding? Walk with me. I'm going to show you all of this and how it's connected, right? So once you leave your workforce, all you're thinking about is how you can create a working business model that's going to put food on the table. Once you've got that, the next step is this. How can I sustain this business model for the extended, say, next 3 to 4 or 5 years so that I can continue to maintain my standard of living? Put a pin in it. How many of you have thought past that? How
Bobby,
many of you go ahead, right?
No, I don't want to stop you. I'm just gonna say like that's a real question, man. And that goes back to the vision, right? The vision.
Goes back to the vision.
You know, when I help people build brands, and guys, I've consulted hundreds of people by now when it comes to brand development. I don't even know how many. I always start with the vision. I ask people, what is your vision? What are you actually looking to create? Because honestly, that's what the brand is about.
Right.
I tell people this, Bobby, and I'll let you finish up. Right. Yeah. A business, like you could have a business that's not a brand, but there's no brands that are not businesses. A brand is a business. A business doesn't have to be a brand, which means you could just build a business. Like you could walk down the street and like how many like bodegas, supermarkets and stuff in the US that you don't know their name. You just know there's a shop down the street. That's how you know it. Like you don't know the name of the shop, you don't know what they represent, you don't know anything about that, right? And you could build a business and not build a brand, but if you want a brand, you have to have a vision. So go ahead, Bobby.
Absolutely. And that vision must be clear enough to articulate in the form of a business plan or business model. In most cases, both. But that's a conversation for another time. But make sure that your vision is that clear, right? Because a vision that lacks clarity will also lack the capacity for execution needed to bring it about. So that's a note worth writing down. A vision that lacks clarity will not have the capacity to execute effectively to bring it about. So there we go. But when we get back to how many of you have thought past the 5-year marker, I want us to really think about what your business is designed to do. People that build businesses, that are entrepreneurs and are not serial entrepreneurs, meaning they start a business, build a business, sell the business, and do it again in another industry or in a like industry. If you're not a serial entrepreneur, your business is designed to retire you. It's designed to retire you. And I don't mean retire you from the workforce for the time being. I mean retire you forever. It's designed to say, okay, when I turn 60, all of the money that I've accumulated over the years has been properly and strategically invested so that I can walk away. I've also built an estate for my family, and now we can walk away from this. Okay, now we can talk brand. Your brand is instrumental to your longevity and sustainability in your industry. If you lack a brand and you do not build that brand successfully, I'm about to tell you what I see all the time as a business consultant. This is it, all the time. Someone comes in, they're making $500,000 a year. They've been making $500,000 a year for quite some time now. Their business has no brand. They are spending tons of money on the cost of acquisition of a client or of new business. And because they are expected to operate at a certain level, they're spending money that they don't have in order to deliver a result that is expected of the client. And what do we have now? Well, let me tell you. We have a business with no brand, that is over leveraged, that is trying to meet the needs and demands of a market and industry that they are not equipped to do so. And what do you have now? I'm trying to help you guys. I'm trying to save you thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars. What you have now is you have insolvency, because that model does not work. You have bankruptcy.
Wow. Bro, I was about to say that sounds like hell. That doesn't sound like something I want to get up to be honest. That sounds like, yeah,
And
go ahead, Bobby.
to end that piece, because I just want to tie this together, and then I'm turning it back over to Junior here, is if you don't brand it, you can't demand it. In the spirit of Shaan Rais, right? He likes to rhyme things for us. So this is my rhyme for the day. If you cannot brand it, you cannot demand it. And if you demand a better future, you better brand your business the best you can so you can demand the future you deserve. If you demand higher prices, brand your product to the degree you need to brand it in order to demand the prices in the marketplace that you so desire. So that was the last thing that I wanted to end there, is because when you do this right, you're conscious of retirement, you're conscious of sustainability, you're conscious of social responsibility from the corporate aspect. And I know I said I was done, but last piece for real this time, last piece here is your team, ladies and gentlemen. When you brand yourself, there is a very competitive talent market right now. Talent is slim. It's in high demand. There's a lot of great ideas and not a whole lot of talent to execute on those ideas. And what talent pooling is becoming more and more about is, do you have the brand that people want to work for? And if you don't, you're not going to be able to attract so there's 4 stages, and this will be very quickly. You want to attract talent, you want to develop talent, you want to sustain talent, and then you want to ascension talent, kind of get them up and out. And if you can't brand your business effectively and the various layers within your business effectively, none of that stuff works as good as it should. All right, Junior, it's all yours.
Oh man, that was really good, Bobby. That was absolutely amazing. I love the ascension piece that you just spoke about. And I could talk a little bit about sales, right? Before we go to another quick break. So guys, when you think about a sales team, from my experience, and this is something you should probably write this down as well, right? We have what we call attrition, right? So you have attrition, and for those of you who don't know what attrition is basically your clients leaving the business. basically, to make it very simple. Every client, every customer have what you call a lifetime value. The lifetime value is what is the average length of time and money that they spend. So for example, you may close somebody on a 30K contract, but if clients are only staying for 6 months, the lifetime value of the client is 15K. The client leaves after 6 months, they don't register for your program again, you have attrition. But what most people don't talk about or they don't know about is that salespeople also have attrition. So if you have a sales team, if you have a marketing team, if you have a team, period, if you have a team, period, so there's customer attrition, there's also team attrition, talent attrition. And what I've found, Bobby, is that the best way to mitigate your talent attrition, your team attrition, whether it be sales, marketing, operations, whatever, is you have to have a vision. Especially if you're a startup who's not making enough money to be able to pay people a lot of money, people need to know, what am I doing this for? To what end am I doing this for? Why should I get up in the morning and push as hard to push this business if it's not going to give me anything? What is the vision for this particular business? And if you don't have that vision piece, then people start to fall off, both your customers and also your team. Let's go to a quick break, guys.
It's very important that you know yourself to the highest degree possible, because it's through knowing ourselves that we're able to know other people. You are the most important person in the room, and the better that you know yourself, the better that you're able to communicate to others. So you're not only playing the game knowing who you are, but you're also playing the game knowing who everyone else is, so that you're not playing blind.
He's extremely engaging with people. He has a fantastic smile, and he's just very high energy person.
This is called leadership development. So we have to be independently knowledgeable and considerate to know who we are, so we can more effectively know who other people are. As the leader, it's your responsibility to allocate resources in the right places. If you don't know how to communicate effectively, you're losing the battle. I said Shaan Rais. I'm proud. Shaan Rais. Leadership is not the brand they made for us.
Listen, he brought fire, heat. He didn't hold back.
20 years down the line, what I could sell, why not serve first? Service over salary. Branding like a leader closes the gap for people who want branding. Speaking like a leader closes the gap for people who are nervous about speaking. If Steve Jobs would have speculated, we wouldn't have Apple.
He changed lives. He helped people open up their business and start their business.
We are the brand. Some people say, Shaan, should I quit my job? Mentally, yes.
As a speaker too, to be able to learn from him and watch him and game respects game. And I want to have that much game someday.
The right client, pay $500,000 for what you do. You have to be bold in your beliefs.
He has been an amazing asset to this event and a pleasure to work with. Very captivating, collaborative, worked very well with the audience.
I want to help you. Put a 0 behind your number, right?
The session was great. How he is online, virtually, he is even more phenomenal in person.
Be the face of change that you want to see. Stop asking questions and start giving demands.
The entire team has just been absolutely incredible. They are a joy to work with. They go above and beyond.
Give yourself a round of applause. Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, guys, we are back. Listen, Bobby, it's been an absolutely phenomenal show, man. I must say, it's always a pleasure to have you on. Always a pleasure. Guys, put it in the chat. What has been your number one takeaway from this session this morning? I know we had, like for me, Bobby, I had many takeaways, man. Many takeaways. What about you?
Man, biggest takeaways from this meeting would be thinking through the third and fourth order effects of having a brand and not having a brand. I think this gave a lot of people some food for thought this morning on, do I have what I need to do what I say I want to do? And I think that that's important. That we can all have ideas and plans and visions for our business and for our families, but until we make those visions real, and those that know my story and how I've been here with the brand, is I started with Shaan Rais and the brand team in 2021, and at that time I was in the military and I was trying to build a business, but I had no idea of what branding meant and what the branding element of the business was. So as I developed and as I grew and as I hit the six-figure marker and as I retired my wife and as I left the day job Marine Corps uniform behind, and now I sit here today a full-time entrepreneur, I think one of the biggest takeaways that anyone can appreciate today is the importance of a brand, the positioning of your business and your life through your brand, and how your brand is needed for longevity, sustainability, and impact. So a lot there, but it was a big call. It really was.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. We went into so many things. Oh man, I see a couple of comments on Facebook coming in. Let me go ahead and read a couple of them. So I can't see the name, unfortunately. So you can let me know who it is in the comments. I'll send you a shout out. But this person says, so one of their takeaways was 80% content release for small businesses without a CTA. Yes, and I wanna back that up by saying that in those posts, you want to let people know what you stand for. That it has to be. I'm not saying do random posts. Like, listen to me very carefully. You have to let people know what you stand for, and you have to do it in different ways. You have to tell stories, you have to give examples. The main thing is storytelling, though, but you have to tell different stories, put out different examples, give commentary on, let's say something happens in the news, you could give your commentary on it, say what you think. People want to know what you think. You're an influencer. People want to know, what are you thinking, what is your opinion, what is your perspective. That's why things like Twitter exist. Twitter exists because of people's opinion. Everybody has something to say about what's going on. Like, look at Elon Musk. Elon Musk, he has his perspectives on different things, and he puts out his perspective. And some people like it, some people hate it, and that's fine. So when you put out your content, the content that you put out, it has to communicate, number one, what you stand for, and sometimes what you stand against. All right, so somebody says the thing that sells the thing. Yes, so the thing that sells the thing is the feeling, is the emotion. And it's exactly what I was talking about. What do you stand for? So I want you to ask yourself, for the person who put this in the comments, for your favorite brand, why do you buy what you buy from that brand? If you're an Apple fan, why do you buy Apple products? If you're a Samsung fan, why do you buy Samsung products? Somebody says branding and marketing, or branding versus marketing. Okay. Somebody else says sales, clients, and talent all have attrition. That's right. Let me talk to that just for a little bit. Guys, if you want to be successful in business, you need three main skills. You need to learn how to sell, you need to learn how to build, you need to learn how to lead. Sell, build, lead. Sell, build, lead. You need sales. Sales is the lifeblood of your business. It's a non-negotiable, right? You need to learn how to build. Once you learn how to sell, you have to learn how to build a system. You need a system. You need systems. And once you could build a system, you need to lead people and have the people run the system. Because it's going to get too big for you to do on your own. So you need to learn how to sell, you need to learn how to build, and you need to learn how to lead. And that ties into this. This all has to do with selling, building, and leading. You have to know how to lead talent, lead clients, build systems to keep clients, and you have to know how to sell your product. And by the way, guys, if you want to learn more about this, because I know we're about almost at the time, right? If you want to learn more about this, go to www.livedeepdive.com. That's www.livedeepdive.com, where we'll be able to talk more about how we can help you to develop your brand, learn the skills of building, of selling, and of leading. Bobby, before we sign off, I just want to say, man, thank you so much for coming on. Always a pleasure as usual. And by the way, guys, Bobby will be with us throughout the rest of the week, right, Bobby? For this
I
week.
believe so. Maybe a day or two out, but I do
Yeah.
believe the rest of the week.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Bobby, what are your thoughts? Do you have any like closing comments or anything that you'd like to say to the people? What do you have going on? Like, let's talk about your business and some of what you have going on.
I would definitely say I'm in the building stage. I'm in the building stage of business. So we've got sales, building, and leading. I would say I'm doing big. You do all of them at the same time, even though some of them take priority. You know, at the beginning stages of your business, sales should take priority. And then once you get to a more established stage of your business or an established stage in a particular product delivery, then you should transition to building that segment of your business out and automating it and stuff like that. So right now, as we are impacting entrepreneurs everywhere, running our business accelerator and just introducing new ideas and disruptive and innovative approaches to building business models, we are finding ourselves right where you said we would be, where we need to build systems because we've got too many clients to work with one-on-one, which is a great problem to have, right? That's an excellent problem. So we want to bring in the right people, manage our talent attrition, and we want to ensure that we're giving quality service to the individuals that are spending their hard-earned time and their investments with us. So that's one thing about what's going on with us, how exciting it is to be in business today. But I can definitely say from the comments of the things that were taken away today versus we've got branding versus marketing. We've got the thing that sells the thing. We've got the sales, clients, and talent all have attrition. It seems to me that the audience is resonating a lot with the demystifying of branding. So I thought that that was pretty interesting how I didn't think of it that way when we started the call, but now that we've ending it and we're coming to the close, what we really did, in my perspective, and apparently the perspective of the audience, is we demystified some things. So if this was demystifying for you, please put that in the chat. I'm not going to say hashtag demystify, but I will say if it was demystifying for you or it brought clarity in a way that you didn't know before and it allows you to move more precisely, let us know if that was the case for you, because I think that might be something for us to lean into in the future.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Bobby, I feel the same way, man. I feel the same way. You know, demystifying things like branding, marketing, sales. Like I could go on about a list of myths. I could go on for a list of myths, brother. And it's only when you actually like put in the actual work yourself do you actually see like how easy it is. It's not that tough. Like I tell people, it's not as hard as you think. It's about the mindset, number one, but it's not as tough as you think. It's not as tough as you think. But anyway, guys, this has been Breakfast with the Brand. Thank you so much for coming out. Bobby, thank you. We will be back tomorrow at 8 a.m. In fact, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't forget to tune in. Let's grow.